This episode is dedicated to my cousin, Danielle Mushy Fields. I love you and I miss you. Rest in the sweetest of peace, cousin. Till we meet again. Keep it nerdy.
You're listening to the Blatino Nerd.
Yay! Hello, everybody. I am back. I know it's been over a month since my last episode, but I am back. And if you're still tuned in, then I welcome you back to the Latino Nerd. Well, it is now behind us. WrestleMania season has come and gone. And as with every year, there was everything from excitement to disappointment to what the fuck was that? So on this episode, I am back with everyone's favorite foul mouthed Scottish drag queen, Slay
Hey.
Guevara.
Hello, how's it going?
Hey. It's going pretty well. Thank you for joining me again.
You are more than welcome.
And this episode is all about WrestleMania.
Yep.
Takeaways, what we expected, what we didn't expect, final thoughts. You're going to get all of that here. So I just want to put it out there that like night one is definitely where it's at.
Yep. Absolutely. It's like, I think it was like, they seem to kind of do it backwards, if you ask me, because obviously it's like, you want to have like that feel-good show to like come back to the first one with crowds, and night one was so amazing and everything felt so good, and then night two, it was more like, it felt like the setup for like the next season of wrestling, if you want, but like,
Right.
they should have done it the other way around. Like, have the second one be you go home feeling good, whereas the first night was like, here's some spoopy setup shit, like, enjoy fucking show on that one. Here's
Exactly.
Edge getting his dreams shit on, like, that's, you know.
No. For those of you watching and listening who don't know, WrestleMania was the first live event in 1 year, 1 month, and 1 day that WWE had live crowd for because it was in Tampa Bay, Florida.
Yep. Some of them wore masks. That's something. It was just, that was my favorite thing.
I found that
mask spotting in the crowd. It's like, there was just this like fucking beautiful moment. Like, it happened constantly where people would be like standing, just chilling with their mask off, turn around, realize they were on camera on the fucking Titantron, and then turn around and quietly pull their mask up. And it's like, because apparently this is I read somewhere that the security in the stadium were basically running a 3 strikes and you're out thing, where if they caught you without your mask on like X number of times, you got thrown out. And like,
right,
I think that it was because people were like, shit, I'm on camera, everyone can see me. Whoop. Like, it's great.
I just found it funny that there were more rain ponchos than masks in the crowd.
It's like, okay, so I don't really care about the deadly disease, but I can't have a fucking Hulk Hogan t-shirt getting wet. That's like, can't be dealing with that. It's like, probably would have been good for us. Probably the first time it would be fucking washed in 6 months. Fucking neck beards, like.
It's like,
the number of people in just full
You know what?
Hogan cosplay is always just revolting. It's like, he's the worst part about this. Why have you parted with so much money to wear all of his merch all at once? It's just,
Yeah. And then to boo him.
yeah, that was
Like they were not happy he was
that
there.
made me so happy. They had to fucking mute the crowd because he got such a bum reaction. Like, when Titus O'Neil is getting a bigger pop than you fucked up,
Yeah.
mate. Like, and like, that is not to downplay Titus in any way, shape, or form. He's brilliant, but like, you know,
I
don't know where I
agree.
was
Like,
going with that, but
personal feelings toward him aside, it's Hulk Hogan and he's a fucking legend. And everybody was like, "Hey, Titus O'Neil, what the fuck's this guy doing here?"
yeah, it's this fucking hot dog in a wig. Like, that's. I was watching, like, you know that episode of it. you know that episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia where they like put on a wrestling show and the set up to it's them sitting watching a Hulk Hogan match, and it's like, yeah, his hair is so silky and yet his skin looks like leather. What's that all about? Like,
I imagine that it had to be like awkward for Titus O'Neil, and he's just like, really,
really,
like, him of all people.
yeah. Oh my god, it was just. I found this account on Twitter that's my new favorite thing. Have you ever seen is it this account Vince McMahon Googling?
No. Oh my god.
So basically, the whole premise is that all of the tweets are things from Vince McMahon's search history, and they kind of live tweet through shows. And like, there was this one, it was after Titus and Hogan came out, it was just all caps, "Have I fixed racism?" Like,
fixed racism.
It's my new favorite thing, I swear to God. Like, what was the other one? It was like during the Shane match, it was like, I think it was like how to teach son how to punch. Like, it's just a thing of beauty. Like, it's so funny. But yeah, no,
listen,
like,
let me tell you something, Mean Gene. It's WrestleMania season, brother. Titus is just like, oh god.
just like,
fine.
I am not being paid enough for this. I'm probably being paid a lot, but I am not being paid enough for it. Like,
right, exactly.
it's just.
And I have to point out that like the Great Khali got into the Hall of Fame before the fucking Undertaker.
I'm not even mad at that because, you know, they put WrestleMania's in Texas next year, so like, I think that Taker's headlining, but yeah,
Right.
the Great Khali is like an iffy one. I think my speculation, it was gonna be Big Show, and then he jumped ship. So they're like, right, fuck it, let's put the other big man in here. Go fuck yourself, Paul. Like, that's.
You know what? That's a really good point. I didn't think about that, and I was like, 'cause, you know, it probably would have been Big Show's time this year.
Yeah, and I mean, to be fair, like, Khali did do a lot for, you know, like breaking WWE out into India, and he was certainly very tall. So, you know, that's. I can see the logic somewhere, but
I just can't get over the fact that his chest looks like a second face.
oh god, it really does, doesn't it? Oh, it's like
it's like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and it's like his chest is Krang, and he's just a giant fucking vessel.
yeah, and it's like, I also can't get my head around the fact that they had him appearing at the Hall of Fame ceremony via Zoom, but he was physically at WrestleMania. Like, all right, fair enough. You do you. Like, it's
Whatever.
Some of the Hall of Fame stuff were great. The one thing I've been so mad about this for the last few days, Nikki Bella's dress that she wore at WrestleMania was an absolute hate crime, and I cannot stand it. It was so horrible. Because it was, you know, it had the thing from her ring gear, but it was like, this woman who had a baby like a few months ago is in a skin tight dress that does not suit anyone, least of all someone who's just had a baby, with a horrible fucking logo on it and a fucking train. Ma'am, you are a millionaire. Have a word with your stylist. Like, I keep there's like the feminist part of me is very much like, stop being mad at the Bella Twins going at the Hall of Fame. They did a lot for like mainstreaming women's wrestling, whatever. But there's the other part of the wrestling fan part of me is like, no, I don't know. It's like, I appreciate them, but you know, I like them on Total Divas more than I like them as wrestlers. But it was, you know, fair enough. But that dress was revolting. Anyway, right, outside of Hall of Fame bullshit, actual WrestleMania card.
I mean, as far as the Hall of Fame thing goes, though, I'm holding out hope that every year I see Undertaker get looked over. I'm like, here's this thing. They're gonna wait. My theory is that they're just gonna wait until there's a physical Hall of Fame building, and Undertaker is probably just going to have his own wing. That's what I'm thinking.
That's kind of a shout, actually, because also like everyone that's connected to him's already in, because Paul Bearer's in, Kane's in, so like, it's, you know, it's
exactly.
I think that they're saving it for something big, and I think that it's so that you can get a home crowd pop at next year's Mania. I think that's why they're saving it. But yeah, it's
because you figure what HBK is in, Triple H is in,
Mm-hmm.
Kane, Paul Bearer,
Like all the people,
Edge,
Mick Foley, like fucking what's his face, like
yeah,
Hogan, all the people that he's had
APA.
big stuff with are in there. So it's kind of like it's a nice conclusion to the thing. Like I don't know, but yeah, like Taker definitely
Right.
deserves it, and like it, like that whole thing about how like this was the first WrestleMania and God knows to not have John Cena, The Undertaker, HBK, Triple H, or whoever the fuck else on it. It's just like shit.
Yeah.
Wow, like.
Since 1988.
Oh my god.
Yep. And like they weren't even like, well, I'd imagine that Triple H was there probably in gorilla position, but yeah, they weren't even there. Like that's the first time that's ever happened.
Yeah, like, and I think that's kind of like, especially for Taker, there's part of me that's like, that's a good thing. Like, stay away from it. You're gonna get tempted to come back.
Right.
The Boneyard match was a nice finale. Stay the fuck at home. Go and chill in a swimming pool with a tiger and your wife or whatever it is that you do nowadays. Like, it's do not come back. I never want to see you again in a wrestling capacity. Please, for the love of God. Like, it's
fair point. I think Taker seems to be the only one to be really serious about this like retirement thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like everybody's like, oh, I promise you're never gonna see me again. And then like three or 4 years later, like, oh, I got the itch. Taker's like, no, man, I'm fucking done. I've been doing this for 35 years. I just want to go the fuck home.
I think it's because he kind of did the whole like, okay, right, I'm done now. Oh fuck, no, I'm not. I think because he did that internally and never announced that he was finished.
Right.
Like I think he got all that shit out of the way without officially being right. That's it, I'm done. With the possible exception of the whole leaving his hat in the ring and stuff. Like if I have to go out like this, at least I've put a kind of thing in it. But it works. Like. Is it the 3.5 collective hours of sleep I've had over this weekend are really starting to show, aren't they? Like,
no, you're good. I wish that like that great retirement ceremony they had for him at Survivor Series. I really think they should have just kept that until the weekend. Yeah, they should have kept that until the weekend. WrestleMania was Taker's whole thing. Like this should have been the weekend where it happened.
Mm-hmm. Like I understand the Survivor Series wanting to do it like 30 years on or whatever, like that's nice-ish, but also you think of Undertaker, you think of the street, you think of WrestleMania, like it's his fucking show. So
right. But yeah, that being said, let's get on to the matches. I guess we're gonna cover night one, which in my opinion is the single, is not the single, but is like in the top 5 of WrestleManias ever.
I totally agree. It was absolutely phenomenal. And like, I'm going to admit to this right now, just get it out of the way. I broke WrestleMania and I'm sorry. I jinxed the entire thing. I don't know if you saw, right. So I made like a, not predictions video, but like a what are your thoughts on Mania video. And all the matches that I was like nonplussed about, and I was like, oh, I don't care who wins. It's just going to be a good match, whatever, like Bianca and Sasha or Rhea and Asuka, whatever. I got the outcome I wanted. But then for the 3 matches that I really, really gave a shit about, I was like fully 100% with the whole fucking chest was like, Drew is going to win. Edge is going to win. Tamina and Natalya are going to win. And then none of it happened. And it's like... So I jinxed the whole fucking thing, basically, and I'm mad at myself for it. Because Vince McMahon has a chip in my brain, he can hear my thoughts, so...
Oh, it's good shit. I'll teach that snake of our what's what. Oh, my Twitter, like, my Twitter feed was like a light yesterday. I think last night was the most I've ever tweeted.
Yeah.
Like since I got my Twitter.
Some of my WrestleMania live tweets were just insanity. And it was like, I looked back on them this morning. I was like, what was I talking about there? Like how is anyone meant to make sense of that? Like, Jesus Christ. Like
Vince McMahon should be forced to sit in a room and watch people sneeze after last night.
Yep. He should. He deserves it. But yeah, so night one was very, very, very solid. And fucking loved all of it. Like, it was so good.
Yeah,
With
honestly,
the exception
there
of one
wasn't
match, but I knew I was gonna hate that going into it. So
I already know which match you're talking about. Trust me, I know.
I'm in pain,
Um,
right?
Now, see, as much as I love Drew, I had Lashley retaining.
See, I had like my thoughts going into it were they were gonna give Drew his moment in front of a crowd, and like that would have made logical sense, but
Right.
I wasn't fully committed to wanting that because I didn't want Bobby to be a transitional champion, and like
Right.
it was like I wasn't gonna be mad at the outcome either way. I was really surprised that it was so clean though. That's my only thing. Like they didn't have
Yeah.
him tap, but because of the just the silly bollocks that went on there, it was like, or the lack of silly shit rather, it was quite unexpected because I kind of thought, as much as I don't think that I don't want Lashley's world title reign to be a month long or whatever, I also didn't see him straight up like killing Drew in the way that he did. And it was like,
Right.
it was a really solid match though.
But I also I like the finish because it didn't make Drew look weak.
Yeah, very much so. And I did appreciate that.
Yeah, the finish just looked like a man who had finally just reached his absolute limit and had given it
Yeah.
all that he had and just couldn't. So
Absolutely.
I like that.
It was very, very
Also,
good. And like I think, yeah, there's a huge sorry, you go.
no, you're good. But
I know, I
think
realized that I didn't know what I
probably
was saying as I was mid through the way that sentence. So
fair enough. I also think that because they also want to do SummerSlam in front of a crowd, it's very obvious at some point we're going to get that Bobby Brock match.
yeah, definitely. I think that's like that's in the pipeline. I think that
yeah.
Yeah, it's like you give Brock enough money and he's back. So
absolutely. Now I'm gonna be pissed if Brock comes back and wins the title yet again. But
yeah, that's
I think that's what we're leading to.
Part-timers with big titles, not the move. But like, think of how monumental that would be for Lashley if he beat Brock. Like that's because also looking at like they foil so nicely, and like also looking at the fact that I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that Lashley's like UFC track record was like better than Brock's as well. So it's kind of logical, and it's like, you know, it's would be a really fucking good match just as long as it's not a squash. Like that's
right, exactly. And as far as opening matches go, that was definitely one of the best ones in recent memory.
Yeah, definitely. It set a kind of nice tone because it was like it was a good match. It was really enjoyable. It didn't take up half the night. And like because it had that ending that I think not a lot of people were anticipating. They were like, yeah, we're still like, there's gonna be, you know, surprises here. Like, don't just expect this to be we're giving everyone exactly what they want because we want to make them happy kind of situation. It was really, really good. Like,
absolutely.
I had like a micro strop about Drew losing, and then I kind of like realized, like, you know, just because he's Scottish doesn't mean you have to be like fully behind him at all times. Like Lashley deserves this. Like it's
absolutely. But I loved, honestly, I loved every second of the match because it looked like it could have gone either way so many times.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And the fact that Bobby went over clean, like he finally like he looks like the real deal.
Yeah, I also noticed, again, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think that Drew got a single Claymore in, which is the first time that's happened for God knows how long.
Nope.
Which is like,
yeah, countered every time.
Yeah, that was really impressive. And I also kind of like the fact that they're like protecting that move a little bit more, because I think that if he'd had it happen and had Lashley kick out, it would have absolutely arseholed the kind of like lethality of it, just because, you know, I have that issue with a lot of kick finishes where it's like, because they get used as such a nothing move, it eventually becomes shit. and I'm really glad that they're kind of not doing that with the Claymore, because it's such an awesome fucking move, and it's like, oh,
It really is. I yeah, I enjoyed it, and I love that Drew but like brought back the Future Shock.
yeah,
I
that was
hate
really brilliant.
DDTs, but yeah, I hate the DDT. I can't explain why, but I hate the DDT so much. It
I
okay.
have,
Let me
yeah.
specify. It's not that I hate the DDT. I hate anybody who uses it as a finisher.
I have exactly the same issue with like super kicks and like what was the other one that I really don't like, that's like, I think the Samoan drop as well. All these things that are, they used to be a big,
Yeah,
that's it, this is over, and now they're just such nothing moves that it's like,
right,
you cannot
right.
buy a DDT as a finisher when like you used to be able to. It's a really good move on paper, but because it gets used so often, it's like you can't
Exactly.
fully buy into it being a match ender.
Like I liked the DDT. I mean, obviously, Jake the Snake is the guy who used the DDT as a finisher, but that was something that had never been seen. Like that was
Yeah.
original. That was cool. Even Mick Foley's DDT, like double arm DDT, that was awesome.
Yeah. And like I will
Now,
never ever have a bad word to say about Jake the Snake or Mick. So like they are honestly two of my
ever,
I
yeah,
have a painting of Jake the Snake Roberts in my fucking living room. Like that's how committed I am to this. He's one of my absolute favorites. Like
oh, I love Jake the Snake. I do. Jake the Snake Roberts is awesome. And yeah, I hate super kicks, Samoa drops, DDTs. You know what? I love Braun Strowman. I do. But no one except the British Bulldog should ever be allowed to use a running power slam as a finisher. I
yeah. My other one is
that's
punch
just me.
finishes by anyone that isn't like enormous. Cause like I made a video a while ago talking about like my least favorite and least favorite moves. And it was like somewhat I said I absolutely hate, hate, hate Lacey Evans' women's right. Because you cannot buy it as a finisher. Because it's a punch, it's not even a good punch. And a lot of people pointed out it's Big Show's finisher with a different name. It's like, yes, but Big Show is 7 feet tall and looks like he eats an entire fucking car for breakfast every day. Lacey Evans
And his
is a
right,
mum. She is very, very small. She might
exactly.
be strong. She is not that strong. Like, it does not work. And I don't think she's
Not
ever
to
won a
mention
fucking match with it without brass knuckles either. So, like, there's that. Has
that's a fair
Lacey
point.
Evans ever won a match, period? No. Just watch me sitting here throwing
yes.
stones in my glass house as I sat in the year 2021 with Tamina as my favorite wrestler. But there you go.
Yes, she has won a match with the women's right. First of all, I'm a fan of the name. I like the name. I just
hate
wish it
it.
was a different move.
It's so cheesy. I
But
really
I
don't like.
like women. I like women's right.
I like the name if it was anyone else, but I absolutely hate Lacey's gimmick because her whole thing is like she can't decide if it's like girl power or not, because it's like you know, she's like, yeah, like she kind of puts herself as a feminist icon, but there's also that whole I'm so traditional, look at me, I'm so feminine, like what, like be quiet, mind your manners, like that whole thing. It's like the two things don't mesh, and it's like make your mind up on what side of this shit you're on. But at least she's having a baby and I don't have to look at her for at least 9 months, so I am more than okay with that.
You got a problem with that? You're nasty.
Stop it, we're done. I quit. No.
I quit. Which, speaking of the women, that brings us to the tag team turmoil match, a match that you were particularly hyped
I was
for
so happy. I was so happy. That is Tamina's first ever, I think, pay-per-view win, actually. So like that's
which says
something.
a lot. Like, yikes.
Yeah. Because like her like record for being on pay-per-views at all is not great. She was on a Survivor Series team once. She's been in the Rumble a few times. There was that one match with Beth Phoenix at Elimination Chamber. Like her, and I was like, I'm sorry, but I got legitimately so emotional at the finish of that match because it was so gorgeous. Like, that fucking moment of like Natalia going to put in the sharpshooter and then stopping and kind of like, no, you do this. Like, and then the splash is the first time that's worked in so fucking long. It was amazing. I cried like a little fucking bitch, and then I cried again on night 2, but not for the same reason.
Like a little bitch. Fantastic. I didn't have a favorite going into that match, but I was gushing to a coworker of mine, and he's gonna hear this and be like, "Yep." But I was like, "It's about fucking time that Natty and Tamina got somewhere. They're the only legitimately threatening looking tag team in this.
They're the
match.
only ones that haven't been squashed by Nia and Shayna at least once, because like
yep.
the Riot Squad have like died. Like I don't know when they last won a match. Like Naomi and Lana, what's even the point anymore? Like Dana and Mandy haven't done too well recently, and like Carmella and Billie Kay are just like another let's stick two women together for no reason. We broke up the Iconics. Here's one of them in a worse tag team. Like it was stupid. Like I do
Billie
really
Kay had her resume.
I do really appreciate Billy's whole thing. Like, it's so cute. And her and Carmella, they do have quite a nice vibe, but I think that if they were going to do that, it shouldn't have been a surprise last minute thing. They should have actually built them up as a thing if they wanted people to care about it. And like the Riot Squad, I was like, I would have been happy if they won, honestly, but I think that Natty and Tamina were also the only ones that weren't going to be a waste of a title match. Because like, I said this to someone a while ago, like, the Riot Squad 125% deserve a tag title run, but they are never ever in a million years gonna win them from Nia and Shayna, because they are just such a, like, you know, they've literally beaten everyone at this point, and it's like it was never gonna happen with them. See, my prediction, and I think this would have been fucking excellent, was have Natty and Tamina take the titles at Mania, and then instead of having all of the women's tag team stuff just be this big confusing mess of like all of the teams all at once, have them have like a sustained good feud with the Riot Squad, and then have the Riot Squad win at SummerSlam. But fuck your dreams, Slay. Nope. Like, yep, it's
fuck your dreams.
I genuinely, like, I would not be surprised to see them win the titles within the next like month, because that crowd reaction on both nights is a very, very clear, this is what we want. We do not care about this Nia Shayna bullshit. Here's the sensible option, do that. Like, it's yeah. Like, when have you ever heard a fucking Tamina chant before? In your life? It's never happened. Like,
also very, very good point.
Like, took her 11 years, but she's finally kind of over. Could you maybe do something with that? Like,
nah. We're just gonna have her lose the next night.
Yeah, this is what I get for deciding that my favorite wrestler is a glorified jobber. Don't know why I'm surprised. That's.
I mean, at least Natty took the L as opposed to Tamina.
Definitely,
so
and I also like
them look.
I also like that she didn't tap. That's the other thing that's like, and I know that we're kind of segueing into night 2 with this one a little bit, but because that match was like, there was such an amazing, clear story the whole way through it, and that kind of resilience the whole way, and then having Natty pass out made a lot of sense, because it's like, this is like, we're not done here. It was like, there's obviously something more coming from that, and like, as I kind of like, I was mad about it for ages, but I then kind of realized like, this or at least shouldn't be the end of the line. And it's like, it was, from a character work perspective, that match did more for the two of them than anything that I have ever seen. Like, fucking, it was just so good up until the last like minute. I was talking about this with one of my friends, and they were like, listen, after that crowd response, I would not have been like, I think they should have just called an audible and had Tamina hit the splash and just that was it. Like that would have been fine.
But
and
I
like I don't know.
I also know that Vince is, he's many things, but he's not unaware. I think it's safe to say he definitely took notice to that reaction that the crowd had to Tamina and Natty.
Totally.
And I definitely think that he'll build upon that.
Yeah. Because
Because that's how we got Kofi Mania after all.
Yeah, because that's the thing, is that they've been so underrated just because they're the kind of journey women of the division and they've been there for so long. What I really like about them as a team is the fact that, like, yeah, this is what we've been doing for the past 10 years. We know you don't appreciate us because we're part of the fucking furniture. This is what we want. We are spelling it out for you. We've been here forever. We survived the Divas bullshit. We deserve this. And it's like, I think that honestly I think that their approach to this has really, really gotten them way more over than I think anyone anticipated, just because it's very like, if we have to baby talk you about this, so fucking be it. This is the situation.
Exactly.
Fucking give us the recognition for it. Like, it's...
Yep. This is what we want.
Yeah, and it's like, it did really... I think that's, like, as much as wrestling fans like to think that they are, free minds and whatever, sometimes just being told what to think works. Like, it's...
Absolutely. Yeah, without a doubt.
But yeah, so let's move along from that one before I like cry again. What was after that match?
It's just gonna turn you ranting.
Yeah, we need to get me out of this like quickly. But what
was the next one?
I'm kind of...
Was that god awful? Was that a god awful cage match?
It wasn't the cage match. The cage match was third from last. We forgot about the Bad Bunny match, and we're genuinely terrified that Braun Strowman and Shane McMahon were going to be the semi-main event. And I was like, what the fuck? But it wasn't.
No, the next match was the one that was actually one of the ones that I was most excited for.
Cesaro and
was
Seth,
the sleeper,
wasn't it?
Yes, that was the sleeper match of the night. Holy shit, that was amazing.
It was so good. Like, I swear to God, like, the whole swing thing, I think Vince is just on a mission to make Seth vomit on pay-per-view again. Like, it's so funny. I will say, the one thing that I absolutely loved to death was that video package at the start that was like, Cesaro has never won a match on pay-per-view. Is this really the kind of role model that you want for your children? And it was just so good.
Not only has he never lost a match, like not only has he never won a match on pay-per-view, do you know that was his first WrestleMania match in his career?
Yeah, that was he had a pre-show match last year, which maybe counts. I don't know, but like, yeah, like that's insane.
That was his first Mania match ever in his career.
That's insane. I don't understand how they can have people like Cesaro and just not fucking use them properly. Like, he's so good. It's like, it took me a while to warm up to him, but I really, really enjoy him. And I think that kind of like, he's one of these people that I think is really well suited to like not having much in the way of a gimmick. It's just like, I'm here, I'm big, I'll fucking kill you. That's it. That's done.
Exactly.
Like, it's...
because remember
how that whole thing where he was like an evil rugby player and stuff, and it was just like, no, this is not a man you can do silly shit with. Fucking look at him. He does not need anything. Just like, he's here, he's gonna rip your head off your fucking shoulders. That's it. Like...
Exactly. I also hated his time as a Heyman guy, but that wasn't his fault. That was just more poor timing, because he was a Heyman guy during the point at which Brock had just beaten Undertaker's streak.
That's not what you want, is it?
So people cared more about that than the fact that, holy shit, Paul Heyman aligned himself with probably the best pure athlete on the entire roster.
Yeah, and it's like, Paul is great, but also, like, after the fucking streak thing, he very much was public enemy number 1 or public enemy number 2 for, like, a while, and it's like,
Absolutely.
yeah, like I think that's the reason it took me so long to warm up to Paul Heyman, but he is quite possibly like my favorite non-wrestler ever. Like, he's just the best.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, but anyway, that's Cesaro match.
just-
It was so good. Like that. No, go, because I'm losing thread of what I'm trying to say.
I'm still not the biggest fan of the neutralizer.
I kind of get you.
I appreciate what it's trying to do, but yeah. My big thing with Cesaro is that I was a big fan of his days in Ring of Honor when he was in the tag team with Chris Hero, who, you know, we all know is Cassius Ohno.
Yeah.
And that pissed me off because I'm like, you have Cesaro, you have Cassius Ohno. Why not just get the Kings of Wrestling back together? What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah. It's just like I don't know, they're very talented at not doing the right thing when presented with the opportunity to. But it's also like, we can't, like, no, we have to do things that are completely original and absolutely cannot use anything that was created by someone that isn't Vince McMahon, even if it is really fucking good. And it's like, it's the same thing with, I got into an argument about Elimination Chamber with someone the other day, and it was like, it was about Eric Bischoff being in the Hall of Fame, and he was like, oh, but he invented Elimination Chamber. It's like, no, he took War Games and made it shit. That's like, that's not an achievement.
He made War Games a circle. That's it.
He also made War Games. So it wasn't like he stole it, but it was still like, of all the things you want to credit him with, like, oh, he brought this amazing thing into wrestling. Why Elimination Chamber? Like, it's like the most rubbish of all of the various gimmick matches. Why is that the one we're excited about? Like,
I was a fan of the original Chamber. When the chambers were legitimately glass and the floor was steel.
Instead of, you know, stealing a set piece from the Hunger Games and calling it a day with those weird pod things. Like, that's...
Exactly. And I love how friggin' McMahon wants nothing more to do with Jericho since Jericho jumped ship to AEW, and he goes, I want nothing more to do with him. I'm like, but you kept the money in the bank. Like, that was very literally Chris Jericho's idea.
Yeah, it's like it's just so funny. And it's like the fact that the whole thing with Elimination Chamber I find really funny. It's like, you've bought WCW, you own it, you have the guy that made it in your company. Just do War Games. No, we need our own completely original idea because I'm not using anything that someone is not me has come up with. So let's just take the exact same premise, make it have one less ring. It's not a team thing anymore, and change nothing else. Like,
and then we're gonna bring back War Games anyway.
Yep. It's like, oh. It's so dumb, but like, yeah, no, that's Cesaro. I almost have nothing to say about that Cesaro and Seth match just because it was so good. Like, I have no complaints. That fucking helicopter thing that Cesaro did was just like,
yeah,
that was so good.
That was amazing.
I remember seeing a tweet from it was someone that he used to work with like years ago. I can't remember who specifically it was, and it was like, yeah, I saw Cesaro use that move once years ago, and like, they were like, dude, why aren't you using that all the time? That's incredible. And he's like, nah, I'm saving it for WrestleMania one day. Like, that's really sweet. Like, that makes me really happy.
Yeah. And
like, talk about fucking
Jesus, that was
realizing how important protecting moves is, because people just seem to forget that is a thing that needs to happen. Like,
Seth Rollins, that match at Mania just proves that, like, I don't care what people have to say, because I've seen people say some really, really horrid shit about Seth Rollins, and it's like, you can say what you want about Seth Rollins. The man is a performer, and he makes anyone look good.
You know what else I saw pointed out that I found really funny, right? No, sorry. Keep going with the same thing. Wait.
You're good.
I saw someone point out that Seth's attire was like the male version of Becky Lynch's Mania 35 outfit with the yellow and black, which is hilarious. It's like, yeah, you're gonna like knock off this to fight the guy's husband, to fight Becky Lynch's husband. That's incredibly amusing. Cesaro, you're a dick, and I love it. Like,
fantastic. But yeah, I mean, I think back to that awesome match when him and Miz opened Backlash. And the match was so good that literally everybody else just had to keep up.
Yep. It's like, he's just such an underratedly fucking brilliant wrestler. Like, it's, and again, I totally get like everything that people can say about Seth. I think that part of it is like forgetting to separate art from reality kind of thing, because it's like not liking someone's gimmick isn't a valid reason to not like them. And yeah, his voice is kind of annoying, but like he's a fucking good wrestler. Like, that's
absolutely.
And I also think, to paraphrase from Michael Cole, we did get some real like vintage Seth in there, because like he's not done a whole lot of the like high flying stuff since he kind of turned heel, and it's like we had a little bit of that creeping back in, and it really, really worked. I enjoy that.
What is the next match? The absolute slaughter of the New Day.
Oh my god, yeah. Fucking, I mean, Gonyourcel Omos, like, that's, after that match, AJ Styles is very much the Marty Jannetty of that team, and I'm okay with that. Like, Omos is my new favorite person. That was just that
actually,
whole...
Here's now a fun fact. With that win, AJ Styles is the only man to become a Grand Slam champion in TNA and WWE.
Yeah, that's insane. I love that. I saw you share that on Facebook, and I was nearly like, yeah, now watch WWE like force Charlotte to go to TNA so she can break the same record but faster. Like, she must win all of the things. Don't you understand? No.
I mean, considering that we just had, what's her name, Tessa Blanchard win the Impact Championship, it's not out of the realm of possibility now. Charlotte can go and just win the Impact title.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't pay a whole lot of attention to Impact, so that means I don't have to watch her, and I'm fine with that. I have to say, I did really, really enjoy my Charlotte-less Mania. That was very, very pleasant. I mean, it's shit she got COVID and everything, but at least she wasn't on Wrestlemania. Because if she had been, you just know that Asuka match would have been a triple threat, and it would have been a nightmare. So, like...
Absolutely. And my take on Charlotte is this. I'm on both sides of the fence when it comes to Charlotte, because I am not denying that she is phenomenal in the ring. She's incredibly talented, and for the most part, she deserves the accolade she's earned. However, Vince McMahon's hard on for anything named Flair is really fucking
and it's like, they could have tried to be a little bit more subtle about the fact that they're eventually going to have her break Rick's record instead of having her win all of the things in the space of 3 years. It's like, it's just, you know, it's fine. Like, I think that's the issue, is that I take issue with her, but I don't take issue with her. I take issue with WWE's treatment of her. It's like, it's the fact that you've got this person that is exceptionally talented and can really fucking go, but you've overexposed the hell out of them to the point that people fucking hate them. It's like, it's no bueno. Not a fan. Like,
and that whole thing with her WWE 24/7, she goes, I just needed a break because I was running in circles and I didn't figure out where my career was headed. AKA, they didn't have a title picture for me.
Yep. It's like, well, anyway, the New Day match. I found it so funny that it's like, we're having to play a game of let's keep the big man out the ring, and when AJ Styles is your preferred option to like fight, that's when you know you're gonna fucking die. It's like when you would rather fight AJ Styles than someone else, this is not a good match to be in. Like,
seeing Xavier Woods legitimately beg not to have to wrestle Omos was amazing. And I love the New Day, but like legitimately.
This is the first New Day match. This is the first New Day loss that I was not mad about, just because it was so like
not at all.
the fucking almost like I can't remember what it was that he did, but he fully like grabbed Kofi like out of the air at one point. You saw Kofi looking at him like, oh no. Oh god. It was when he like grabbed him by the arm and just flipped him. It was like it's Kofi lying on the ground like, what have I done? Why am I here? How did this happen? I don't want to do this anymore.
I was WWE champion once, damn it.
It's the fact that they had him like do the like pin with his foot, and it's like was it Woods or Xavier or Woods or Kofi that got pinned? Actually, I can't remember.
Kofi.
It was Kofi. You're right. Sorry. It was like the fact that
Kofi
had been like lying on the floor for about 2 minutes by the time that he actually bothered to pin him. It was like, I think you killed him. Also, I'm really, really glad that AJ took the bump off Omos, because I've been wanting to know who was going to take the bump off Omos at WrestleMania for the longest time, and that like
absolutely
off the rope jumping onto his shoulders, and for someone that is as small as AJ Styles and that doesn't believe in gravity, that must have been terrifying. But like, it's
because what Omos is 7'2",
something like that. Yeah, so, he's like 7'2" in a bit.
When you're on the third. When you're on the third rope, you're already about 10 feet off the ground. Yeah, wow, you're talking nearly with his height. Yeah, almost 20 feet off the ground.
Yeah, that's not a fun time. And it was like, oh, it was scary, but it was so good. And like, I was just sitting the whole time. I was like, he needs to put AJ on his shoulders. When's he gonna put AJ on his shoulders? Because that's just gonna be so funny. Like, it's. And then like that shot of like the two of them, like AJ like sitting on Omos's shoulders like a wee boy with these like titles, it was so cute. But also, what was I gonna say about that? Yeah, that's my favorite thing is like massive wrestlers carrying other smaller wrestlers. Like at the Rumble when Omos was walking about with AJ under his arm, was just like, because he like caught him like that and then was just holding him like this for ages. And it's that, and that one time recently where like Nia like fireman carried Reggie out of the ring after something. I just thought that was the funniest shit. Like, I don't know why. It's just my favorite thing. Like, I think it's just because like I'm tiny and I would like to be held like that. No, I'm small but dense, so it's completely unattainable. Like
I'm small but dense.
Like fully, I was once described by a teacher as 5'10's worth of person compressed into 5'2". Like,
that's amazing. That's amazing.
But yeah, no, that match was lovely.
Our first photo shoot. Our first photo shoot in person when we meet. I'm just going to be carrying around like a small child.
Yes, I am literally the size of 6 years. It's great. It's like I haven't grown since I was 10 years old, which I've got a huge complex about it, because I was the tallest person in my primary school, like above all of the boys and stuff for ages, and I stopped growing when I was 10.
Yep, this is it.
It was shit. I was so used to being tall, but I didn't sleep enough when I was a child apparently, so now I'm this. Yeah. Anyway, but that match was really great. It's the first time I've not been pissed off about the New Day losing, and it was fun. Like, then what was after that?
I'm just upset that match was less than 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But we had to suffer through 15 minutes of Shane and Braun in a steel cage, because that was next.
Oh god, do we have to talk about this one? Can we not just pretend it didn't happen?
It's for anyone who's ever been called stupid.
I've been called stupid many times by many people, including my every manager that I've ever had at every job I've ever had, and I did not feel represented.
Then you should take a toolbox to someone tall. Right over the head.
Right. Was it just me that was absolutely shitting it? Because I thought that when he went to get the toolbox, I thought it was going to be another bucket of slime.
I was a little disappointed when he just hit him with the toolbox. I thought there would have been something cool.
Okay,
in there.
My huge gripe with this, right? So Shane did his whole climbing over the thing, and then Braun rips the side of the cell off, or the side of the cage off. you just made an enormous hole in the cage and you've just killed Shane. Why didn't you just climb out of the massive hole that you made? Just climb out the hole. You fucking idiot, bro. You are fucking stupid, Braun. Like, come on.
But you just made
maybe Shane was right.
And killed Shane.
Maybe Shane's right. Maybe Braun is stupid. And we had the fucking inclusion of Elias and his pet racist, which I could have really gone without, but like...
I love Elias' pet racist. This has got to be, what, like the fourth? This has to be like the fourth WrestleMania in a row where Elias has been used for nothing more than fodder.
Yeah. And it's like, he's one of the people that I think has suffered with the pandemic the most because his gimmick just does not work without a live audience. And then they finally had one and he didn't even sing. It was just unfortunate.
But I love Elias.
Me too. Like, he was one of these people that I genuinely really, really enjoyed. And I hate that he's being punished with Jackson Riker. Like, I'm waiting for him to just kill him. Like, possibly for real. Just like...
Yeah, real life murder. I'm okay with this.
Yeah, it's what he deserves. But yeah, that cage match was dog shit. I hate Shane so much. He's so sweaty and so disgusting. It's like he's just terrible. I do not like him even slightly. He is my favorite McMahon, but that's like saying my favorite eye infection. So, like,
it's like it's my choice way to die.
Yeah. Much. It's like, how would you? It's like
moving on.
Yeah.
So, I don't know who at WWE needs to hear this, but can we get Bad Bunny like a legitimate contract?
Fuck me. You know that vignette in night 2 that was like set like an advert for Bad Bunny's tour and Trips gave him the box and stuff? I thought there was going to be a contract in that. Like,
yeah, I really thought he handed like money in the bag.
He was so good.
That like, Canadian destroyer.
He's been training for
that
3 months. Spot. He's been training for 3 months and he pulled that shit off.
Perfectly too.
It was so insanely good because I was really not for it on the basis of like it's just gonna be another bullshit celebrity match. I was very, very, very pleased with the outcome. And it's just like it was a surprisingly really fucking good match, like possibly one of the best of that night. And it's like,
oh, absolutely. If not for the main event, it would have been been the best match of the night.
I agree.
And that's really a testament to not only Bad Bunny, but to The Miz and John Morrison, because they can work with anyone.
They absolutely can. It's amazing. Like, just that's something that I really appreciate about them is the fact that they're like such incredibly talented guys, but are very willing to just be like, okay, this is your fucking moment. Like, they're really, really good. Like, it's like you guys both deserve so much better than you have in WWE, and yet you're still so willing to like put people over like that well. It's just so good. Like,
I agree, and I've been a Miz fan for years, and everybody was like, "The Miz is so annoying," and I'm like, maybe, but he's probably the single most consistent superstar WWE has ever had.
Yeah. I really hate people that are like, that don't like rant about not liking Miz because he's annoying or whatever, but are then Orange Cassidy fans. It's like, stop it. Like,
see, as someone from New Jersey, Orange Cassidy holds a special place in my heart.
Yeah, but it's
because
I know, don't get me wrong, I really enjoy Orange Cassidy, but it's just like, they're different flavors of the same kind of gimmick. You cannot hate Miz and like, you know, well not quite, but like, you know, they're kind of they're in the similar bracket of like gotten over via character rather than doing stupid shit. Like, you cannot, you know, like hate Miz for that because he's so good. Like, and again, the fact that he's never injured himself in the entire massive career that he's had just by virtue of, you know, not sort of mortgaging his body to get decent like spots. It's just Oh, he's really, really good.
Right.
I fucking love Miz. Also, John Morrison's hair, all about it. It's excellent. I love it. He looks like a fucking gay. He looks like a gay chicken, and I appreciate it very much as someone who also periodically looks like a gay chicken. But yeah, because that's the thing.
As I called it, I called him as I called him. That was brave, achy, bricky heart.
Very much so. It's like fucking what? Oh God, Willie Ray Cyrus.
Willie Ray Cyrus. You may take our lives, but you'll never take our achy, bricky hearts.
Was that your Scottish accent, really? After all this time, Jordan, come on.
I mean, I'm half asleep.
Fair enough. I think we both are. It's a miracle that we've gotten this far into it without either of us passing out.
I think it's gotten better since I've been talking to you.
Not pronouncing your T's does not equal a Scottish accent, and I know that I'm really not the right person to be talking about. Like, yeah, it was certainly an attempt. It wasn't groundskeeper Willie, so for that I will give you credit.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I mean, it was better than Mel Gibson's.
Yeah, good point.
As someone who now knows enough Scottish people, I can say that was really bad.
Yeah. Oh, but yeah, no, that.
However, thanks to you and your TikToks, I do find myself saying guilty pleasure more often than I'd like.
Saying what?
the way you said guilty pleasure. So now I find myself slipping into slave voice. Because I'll listen to something and they're like, exactly. And they're like, I can't believe you're listening to this. And I'm like, it's a guilty pleasure of mine.
I've realized this is an ongoing. This is more of a problem than I realized. I've somehow gone full circle because I don't talk about being Scottish quite as frequently. People now think I'm Irish for some reason, and that video did not help. That "No, I am not Scottish" video was not helpful in any way, shape, or form. And then now I get told that I sound like Becky Lynch like all the time, and I was like, have you ever listened to either of us? Like.
Jesus Christ.
It's the same people that tell me that I look like Piper Niven. I'm like, no, we're both just fat and Scottish. We look nothing alike. And we don't sound anything fucking alike either. We're from completely different parts of the country. It's like, we're not even the same type of fat. Like, come on. Like I'm Seth Rollins' hair sellotaped onto Jordan Grace. That's...
God, I love Jordan Grace so much.
Same. Oh, I want to beat her. Like, please.
She's another one I can do. Like, I can do an entire episode on Jordan Grace, but now I've just decided that at some point I'm just going to beg her to come on my podcast.
Please. Yeah, no, but that Bad Bunny match though, that was really fucking something. It was brilliant. And the fact that, like, I'm glad that Damian Priest was there, but I'm also really glad that, like, you know, the boyhood dream came true for Bad Bunny. Like, that's
absolutely.
It was really.
I was a big fan of the double Falcon Arrow spot.
Oh yeah, that was lovely. Like
that was very, very well done.
It was so good. Like, I have to say, I did find it really funny. Like the Miz and Morrison's entrance with the bunnies, I thought was great, especially given that there was probably a future WWE champion under one of those bunny suits.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it's all the performance center recruits that they get to do the costumed entrances. So like
the poor bunnies though, they were like sliding and their heads were falling
one of their
off.
ears fell off. It was just shit because they don't got better rabbit costume. Like they blew all of their money on the not very good pirate outfit and Dabba Kato's warlord costume. So like
yeah, but
we're gonna have to talk about that shit as well. Fucking Christ.
Good Lord.
I don't even want to think about it, honestly. Right, okay, let's think about nice things. Bianca and Sasha, that was fucking beautiful. Like
Bianca and Sasha, and I know people are going to hear me, they're going to hear this and they're going to disagree out the wazoo. And I really wish people would come for me on TikTok with my wrestling opinions like they do you and Bond. Like, really. See,
the problem is that you are not a woman. So people don't talk down to you like you're
that's
sex.
What it is.
That's entirely the issue.
I don't have a hoo-ha.
Yeah, there you go. It's like
my favorite thing about the I'm not Scottish TikTok is that like you can clearly tell who actually pays attention to all of your TikToks and who's simply there for like to stalk the Scottish lesbian.
Yeah, because it's
Because
like it's
you and I interact on a regular basis. So if
yeah.
anybody knows how fucking Scottish you are, it's me.
And it's also the fact that the same thing happened a while ago with so do you remember that video where like Morgan had told me to fuck off in a comment and I made that video saying that I was sick of hate comments and then did Nia Jax's theme song as spoken word, right?
Right.
Like that moment. Like
Yeah.
I had so many people that were like A, didn't recognize that it was Nia Jax's theme song, and B, thought I was legitimately being bullied and were like, no, you're so pretty, it's okay, like we love you, queen. And I'm like, listen, I like duet this
Like
guy like once a month, we are clearly friends. Like
like like and everybody's like, oh, some people are just so dense. And I'm like, yeah, you don't say.
oh god, that's my like sort of stalker as well. Like he's
Well, part of me just wanted to reply to the comment and be like, she's not gonna fuck you, bro.
please do. I really want him to leave me alone.
she's
It's like
she's not gonna fuck you. Go away.
he's what I have very few people on TikTok that I'm legitimately scared of, but because I know we're in the same country, I am like, please don't kidnap me. Please. I'm so afraid of you.
But if you touch me,
Like
but if you touch me or even get near me, I have you instead. Do you hear me?
yeah. Honestly,
Oh
being a woman
god,
is
what a
fucking
wild.
exhausting. No, Bianca Sasha though, oh, that was the best match of Mania, period. It was so good.
Oh, absolutely. Honestly, that is probably in my top 5 like Mania main events of all time.
Absolutely. And I have to say,
Like no question.
I got irrationally mad at this on the pre-show because JBL went on this big rant about how, oh, if this isn't about Black history, this isn't about women's history, it's just history, fucking snowflakes. And I'm like, you do realize the thing
Shut
that
up.
makes it historic is that they are Black women.
And that
Saying
they're in
that
the
it's
main
just
event.
of Wrestle fucking Mania, it's like, it's that you can't like trying to say that it's just history negates everything that is historic about it, and it's like, shut up, JBL. No one likes you. You look like your ass smells.
Exactly.
Just get out of here. But it was so good. I think that like it gave me like it made Bianca look phenomenal, and it gave me so much respect.
Oh, absolutely.
So much respect for Sasha as well, because it was like she went to so much effort to make Bianca look fucking incredible. Not that she needed it, but like, and that kind of, I saw this video that someone had kind of in the audience had filmed of Sasha at ringside while Bianca was celebrating, and she just looks so fucking happy, and it's just lovely. Like, it was just such a sort of empowering, amazing match, like for so many reasons. And it's one of these like, you were so aware that it's like, I know that people keep saying this is history in the making, but I feel like I am actually witnessing history, and it was just so gorgeous. Like
Absolutely. What made it for me was, I don't know if you actually follow WWE on TikTok.
No, I see their stuff come up every so often, but
they had the TikTok where Bianca heads to the back and her husband is the first person there to greet her. So he like picks her up and like carries her, and she's like holding the title.
So cute.
And he's just like, you did it, you did it. And he like spins her around. And I'm like,
also the two photos side by side that made me really, really emotional. There's 2 pictures that I saw someone posted. One of them was Bianca in Gorilla with Triple H before she made her first appearance at Mania, and she just looked so nervous and like, you know, and Trips was kind of like hugging her and kind of like, you know, it's okay. And then the next one was the 2 of them backstage after she won the title, and it was just like, that woman deserves the fucking world. She's just the best. Like,
I agree.
It was just such an amazing moment to end the night on, and like, so good. Like
that fucking and I'm glad, yeah, I'm especially glad because you and I got to watch that match together,
Yeah,
which was awesome.
it was really cool. That
So
made me really happy.
that that fucking that hair spot with the braid.
That was terrifying. Just like
That
Sasha lying on the floor trying to hold her intestines in, but still being really excited about Bianca winning. Like, it's just, she left it all in that match, including one of her kidneys. Like, that's,
she posted the picture of just the giant welt, like, and I'm like,
it's
oh
so, like,
god.
how do you do that with hair? Ah, like, it's really insane. And like, I have to say as well, their attire in that match was phenomenal. They looked so good. Like, because I think that like Sasha's was super well done. We'd never seen that from her before. Bianca's
Yeah.
was like very like I really liked her entrance jacket, like because it was very much kind of like Macho Man reference, which I was a big fan of. Like it was so cute. Like they just looked insanely good, and like
it was the rhinestone EST in the braid for me.
No, the rhinestone edges were what did it for me. Like that was
Yeah,
amazing. Like how do you even think of that? That was brilliant. Like it's just like
that
this
was just
this was fully just like, you know, I think that like black women definitely get the rawest deal in wrestling, and I think it was very much the two of them just like, this is what you're fucking missing out on here. Let us show you how this is done in every single possible way. Like it was so good.
absolutely, and I think it definitely, this is something that is going to echo throughout. This is something that's going to echo throughout, especially any little girl that watched that match.
That was something that I thought was
Because
really like that was something that I thought was really sweet, was having Haley there during that match was just like,
yeah,
and trying to get her to pay attention, trying to get her to pay attention to it was like trying to keep a hat on a dog, but it was a nice moment anyway. Like
exactly,
it was just like,
and it's, you know,
it was so sweet just because it was very like, this is what this was for. Like this is the kind of thing that kids,
exactly.
this is the kind of representation and everything that kids need to be growing up with. And I was like, I swear to God, I've said this so many times, if I had the kind of women's wrestling that exists nowadays when I was a kid, I would have felt so much less shit about myself when I was growing up. And like the fact that people have like kids of all kind of like everything, but especially little girls have this now to be like, you know, you don't have to choose between being strong and being fucking beautiful. You know, it's just such a gorgeous moment. And it was like, we needed this. Like everyone needed this. It was just so good. Like,
right. It was this is another interesting stat about night one, and I don't want anybody to listen. This is just statistic. I don't want anybody listening think I'm racist or speaking out. But this WrestleMania was the first one in history where minorities were the majority of the WrestleMania card.
yeah, because I noticed there was only one match last night that didn't have at least one person of color in it, which was really, really nice. Like,
yep. Because you had what? You had Sami Zayn, Roman,
Sammy, Roman, Tamina, Naya, Shayna, Sasha,
Asuka,
Bianca, Asuka, Apollo Crews, Biggie, The New Day, Omos,
New Day, almost
Bad Bunny, Damian Priest, Bobby,
right.
Roman. I think there's another one that I'm drawing a blank on here. Like it was just like, yeah, it was really, really kind of
Seth.
And Naomi.
Seth.
Oh yeah.
Naomi. Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
It's
yes. Like
also a person of color.
I did not know that actually.
Seth Rollins? Yes. So Seth Rollins actually, if I'm not mistaken, is Armenian.
Yeah, and I think that he's got some Latin something in there as well. Like
Yeah,
I can't remember what his
he
surname
is-
is, but it sounds, how do I choose words that don't sound offensive? I'm bad at this.
if I'm not mistaken, he is Armenian and Mexican.
Yeah. It's the same thing as Shayna.
Because his last name is Lopez.
Yeah. It's the same as Shayna. Like, she's like Chinese and German, I think. And it's like,
Right.
it's, which I really did not know. And it was like, oh, okay, that's cool. Like, I think that this is like
So
the
fun
most.
fact for you guys who. But yeah, for fun fact for you guys who didn't know, Seth Rollins is actually a non-white wrestler. He's a person of color.
Sometimes. Yeah, but I think the fact that this is the most non-white champions they've ever had at once, I think, as well, which is kind of cool. Like,
Yep. Yeah, because I think the only actual white champions currently, Sheamus, AJ,
and Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode.
That's right. Yeah, that's it.
And Rhea Ripley.
Oh yeah, Rhea. I feel like Rhea Ripley is a person of color. I feel like she's definitely been invited to a few cookouts in her lifetime.
I get that vibe, yeah. It's like,
I have a friend who looks just like Rhea Ripley.
Oh, I love her so fucking much. I'm just like, she's just I think Rhea Ripley is what I thought I looked like when I was 15. I did not, by the way, but like, that was what I was going for at the time. But my hair was terrible and not nearly as cool as her. And once again, I'm really fucking short, which I'm definitely not mad about. Like, because that was something that happened.
The fact that she's so young too.
Yeah. Oh my god.
She has like her whole career ahead of her.
Yeah. I think Mick Foley's been saying this for a while. It's like, Rhea is something fucking special. You need to just strap a rocket to her and let her go wherever she goes. Like, do not fuck around with this whole like 50-50 booking or whatever. Just let her be fucking cool, because you really have lightning in a bottle here with Rhea, and she's just so brilliant. Like,
absolutely. I'm sorry, what were you saying?
No, I was just complaining about being short again. I, for the first time recently, posted a video of myself in relation to a door frame, and all of the comments were just bullying me for being little. It was like,
oh, it's a tiny person.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah, I was tall when I was 7.
I'm short for a guy, so I understand.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. A lot of my friends are much taller than me. I have very few friends who are shorter than me.
Almost all of my friends are drag queens, so make of that what you fucking will. Like,
like Erica's barely shorter than me.
I am.
Even like all of my.
I am boob height on Jasmine. She's a foot taller than me, and it makes me really upset.
Jeez. All of my sisters are taller than me, even the younger ones.
Oh my god, my brother is 6'6". How do you think that makes me feel about myself? He's 15, no, 17. He is 17 and 6'6", and does not do any sport, which makes me so upset. It's like, Callum, this is a fucking waste of the good genetics. Please go and do something, Callum. It's fun fact, it's the Gaelic equivalent of Malcolm. Did you know where that name comes from?
Did not know that.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So then I have to rag on you because everyone else does. You got Callum, which is an awesome name. What happened with Edith?
Good fucking question. It's like, it was my like great granny's name, and to be fair, she was like the matriarch of our family, so that like I like my name, like it's cute. Yeah. I do enjoy a granny name. Like, if I was to ever choose to have kids, they would be getting granny names, because A, they need to know how terrible it is, and B, they do sound cute. So like, but listen, I'm not saying what it is because I don't want to accidentally dox myself on this podcast, but on top of my first name being a granny name, I have a male middle name, and my surname is completely unpronounceable. So like, we're doing amazing here. I want to say it definitely didn't get bullied at school for my name.
Well, I don't want to say it here on the podcast. I'm not giving away your government information, but I have attempted to pronounce your last name. I'm going to ask her about it when we're done recording.
Yeah. It's a nightmare. And
I
again,
definitely had fun.
Again, the male middle name is a really fun one as well, especially given that when people say, like, because I go by Edie most of the time, when people see that written down, they think my name is Eddie. So the number of I've turned up to job interviews when they were like, "Oh, we were expecting a guy." Like, it's
it's Edie.
it's
That's
great.
crazy. Yeah, but so that wraps up night one. Do we have to talk about night two?
Oh, I think we could fire through it. We've covered the tag match. I don't want to talk about it again. So that's one clocked off. Like,
I have so many questions. For starters, what the fuck was that Fiend and Orton match?
why the fuck did the Fiend have to eat a clean loss to Randy Orton? What's that all about? And why is Alexa Bliss got Randy Orton's vomit leaking out of her head? Like,
and then 5 minutes, I may add. Like, you built up this whole thing between Orton and the Fiend to have Orton just pretty much demolish Bray Wyatt.
Yeah. And I think that, like, I know that this is going somewhere because I think that if you're following the whole lore of the Fiend and have kind of interpreted it as like the Fiend isn't really a character, the Fiend is like a brain parasite that Bray Wyatt has and occasionally manifests itself as the Fiend. So the whole idea that like Alexa has that and now she's too powerful or something is nice, but they could have done that in a different way or not done it at WrestleMania. Like, I want fucking answers. This is the season finale. Don't do this. That's not even a cliffhanger. They didn't even tell us what was going on. There's no cliff to hang on. They've just like driven halfway to what they've done. They've driven halfway to the cliff and then kicked us out of the car with no shoes on. Like, it's
it's like we watched Randy Orton commit live murder on television 6 months ago. Like, you just end it like that.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't get it. Like, oh, but that match was something. I don't think you can even talk about it because it was such a. It was like they wrote the setup. Like, they wrote the setup to what could have been a good match, and then went, "Yeah, that's it. I'm gonna go have lunch now. We're done here." Like, it was weird.
Exactly.
And then after that was the tag match, which I'm not talking about because I'll get upset. And then what? And then it was the Logan Paul bullshit, wasn't it? No, yeah, that was the Logan Paul bullshit. KO and Sami Zayn. KO hoofing Logan Paul in the dick and then stunning him was the highlight of my year so far.
Just because I wish I could do the same, honestly.
Yeah.
But the match itself was good. But the Paul brothers have proven time and time again that they are trash individuals. Why do we keep giving them a platform?
I don't know. Especially given that Logan Paul is literally called out wrestling for being fake. Like, why is he here?
This is a guy who went to the fucking...
I think WWE seemed to think that...
Sorry.
Go. Sorry. It's the delay. I can never, like, you start talking and then it comes in. Anyway, go. Right, say the thing.
Yeah. No, you're fine. Go.
Yeah, it's the fact that I think WWE seem to misunderstand exactly how much of their audience is children, because it really isn't, and I can guarantee you no one over the age of 15 gives a shit about Logan Paul. Like...
Right, exactly. And it was like, here's a guy who made a video in Japan Suicide Forest and made like a comedic effort out of it. Like, come on, bro.
Yeah, it's like, I remember like seeing, there's a YouTuber that I watch called Ask a Mortician who's fucking amazing, and like she did a video kind of talking about the Logan Paul situation, and she was like, I don't understand why he thought that this was some kind of groundbreaking, never been done before thing on YouTube. I work in a fucking funeral home. If I wanted to vlog dead bodies, I could be doing it all day long. I don't, because it's distasteful and horrible. It's not out of a lack of creative thinking. Like, he's just such a piece of shit, and it's like, I'm glad he got kicked in the dick, and that is all I will say.
Right. And when I saw Logan, I was like, why is Logan Paul going to be at WrestleMania? And So Erica goes, well, at least it's not Jake Paul. And I'm like, that's true, but that's the same as saying, oh, well, I got AIDS. It's like, well, at least you don't have COVID. Like,
Yeah. It's like, it's the choosing your favorite eye infection thing. It's like neither of them are nice.
exactly.
Like,
I
but
and this may be the most negative. This may be the most negative thing I ever say on this podcast. But when I heard that Logan Paul was going to fight Floyd Mayweather, I ordered the pay-per-view only because subconsciously I want to see Mayweather just punch Logan Paul so hard in the head that he never recuperates.
yeah, bought a pay-per-view to watch a man die. That's respectable. I appreciate that.
Yeah, look, I mean, I did it in '98 when I ordered the Over the Edge pay-per-view. So,
oh God,
yeah. That was not dark humor, I promise. That's a very real and horrible thing.
Just a thing that happened.
Yes.
Yeah, but let's not get into that because I had a really fun time recently having to explain to people why Owen Hart shouldn't be in WWE's Hall of Fame. It's like, okay, how about we just listen to people's families about this? Your opinion as a wrestling fan does not mean shit. Please be quiet. Like,
he shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame, and neither should Chris Benoit. And we really need to stop.
And let's draw a fucking line under it. There's no other option here, right? Anyway, what I really love about Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens though is that they can literally just put on the same match again and again and again and again, and it's so good that people don't care. Like, they're just so good together, and I love it. Like,
absolutely.
Also, another thing that Jasmine pointed out to me last night, I really love the fact that they had Logan Paul sitting with the commentators but didn't give him a mic. That made me really happy.
He didn't need one. He doesn't need any. The Paul brothers don't need any form of platform anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it's a public execution.
Yes.
And I know that Jake Paulers and Logan Paulers, because this is on YouTube, and I'm going to hashtag them because it gets me views, and I know people will see this and they're going to cry and boo-hoo. Fuck your feelings, kids. There are plenty of other things on YouTube.
Argue with your fucking ancestors. Like, that's my favorite thing that I've inherited from you. That makes me happy. But
well, thank you. If Jake and Logan Paul are why you are on YouTube, maybe you don't need to be on YouTube.
Yes.
I'm just throwing that out.
Bury that.
I'm sorry. There are much better creators and human beings. And no, I'm not going to use this opportunity to plug myself because I'm no fucking role model either.
Yeah.
But I needed the fact that these two individuals have nearly 1 billion views between them, and I'm like, but like there's so much actual content on YouTube, but fine, whatever.
Yeah, it's insane. But anyway, the match was decent enough. I'm glad that Logan Paul got the shit kicked out of him. It's all good. What was after that? Because was it that Nigerian drum fight bullshit? I think it might have been.
No, it was Sheamus kicking the barefoot contestant in the chest.
And yes, I swear to God, my new favorite WrestleMania moment. 2 seconds. New favorite WrestleMania moment. Mr. Matthew, I'm the best real fighter in WWE. I was so good at UFC. I'm gonna shit on the Undertaker, fucking Riddle, losing his title at WrestleMania, crying in a fucking puddle of his own fucking blood and snot. That was beautiful. Like, that was all I mean. All of this shit talking Riddle has led up to this moment, and I cried tears of joy. I was so happy to see a man get his fucking mouth kicked open. It was great.
The second that match was over, I thought of you and I was like, I feel like I need to call Slay. Yep. I feel we need to talk about this.
It was so good. And also, Sheamus is so fucking good. Like, I think he's super underrated. And also, like, one thing that I will never not find concerning about Sheamus is no matter what match he's in, he always comes, because he's so pale, always comes out of it looking like he's been in a fucking blender. Like, that man bruises so easily, and it's actually scary. Like,
I'm enjoying what I have officially dubbed the second coming of Sheamus. I'm here for this. Now, when I first saw Sheamus in WWE's ECW, I'm going to use the quotations. I said right from the jump, because I told a friend of mine about it, and I was like, "Have you been watching ECW?" And he goes, "I try not to because it's garbage." And I was like, "Okay, fair." However, there's this guy there. His name is Sheamus. He's Irish. Pale as all hell. I was like, but this dude is going to be WWE champion one day. And he goes, if you say he's that good, I'll watch. So he comes over, we watch ECW. He goes, is that Sheamus guy? I was like, yeah. So at the end of the match, he goes, holy fuck, he's good. And I'm like, yeah.
And the thing that I find really funny about Sheamus, though, if I can go on a brief side note, is the fact that they have had to hugely oversimplify how to spell his name so that Americans know what he's called.
Yeah.
I find that so, because like the actual Gaelic spelling of Sheamus, I'm gonna go and check what it is so I don't butcher it because I'm bad at spelling out loud, but it has not got an H in it. 2 seconds.
No problem.
It's spelled Seumas in Gaelic.
Yes.
So like
Sheamus.
The fact that he's Sheamus, it's like it's just so that Americans can read it, and I find that so funny. But yeah, that match was excellent. I genuinely adore Sheamus, and also I always forget how fucking enormous he is until I see him next to someone that is not Drew McIntyre, because they're both huge, and it's like, because they've been doing so much interacting with each other, you kind of forget that they're both giants, and then like you see him next to like Riddle, who's like a shrimp. It's like, oh god, look at the fucking size of him. Like, Christ, it's it's like that fucking TikTok audio. It's like, I don't know what you are feeding him, but he is too damn big. Like, it's just But that was pretty great though. It was a nice, satisfying end to that match.
Absolutely. Do we have to talk about the Nigerian drum fight?
So the Nigerian drum fight, which is a Symphony of Destruction match, but green. And a Symphony of Destruction match is just an Extreme Rules match, but with musical instruments.
With drums. But the drums weren't even used. That's what pisses me off.
They were just there decoratively.
The drums weren't even used.
There's one moment in that match that I did really like, and it was the lightsaber fight with the kendo sticks at the start. That was quite fun.
Yeah.
After that, it fell off a cliff.
Big E deserved better.
He did.
I'm just throwing that out there.
What the fuck have they done to Dabba-Kato? What have they done to Dabba-Kato? Why? Why is he in fucking Dictator cosplay? What's he doing here? Why do we need more of this? You guys got an FCC complaint for having Apollo Crews moonlighting as a fucking like militia warlord, whatever. Have you not learned? It went down so badly the first time. Why are we doing it again?
Nope. And Big E deserved better. And if I'm honest, so did Apollo.
Yeah, he really does.
Wanted Apollo's first. But yeah, I really wanted Apollo's first title win to like mean something, to come off and be this great big thing, and it was like, no.
And it's the thing that really makes me sad is the fact that you can tell that Apollo does not like this gimmick, because he's just not, when you can tell that someone's not fully committed to something, and it's kind of like, I'm just gonna ride this out until they give me something better, and like you can fully see that's what's going on. Like the light has left that man's eyes. Like it's just because that first promo was so promising, and then he came out with armed guards. And then it all went to shit.
Yep.
It's like, and it's also the fact that like you can obviously tell that someone's told him to ham up the accent, and now it's just gotten so much worse. And it's like, there's so much about it that's just not sitting even remotely right with me, and it's like, can we just stop this? This is like,
exactly.
it's like all of the ethnicities can only do one thing. If you are Asian, you're a ninja and you spit green shit at people. If you're Samoan, you can't speak English and you wear a loincloth and yell a lot. Like, that's if you're African, this is the shit you're getting. And it's just like, they've got such a like primary school level of knowledge of other cultures, and it's just like,
right,
it's just exhausting. It's like doing all of these gimmicks that lean so heavily on this like racial stereotyping, and they clearly haven't even looked into the fucking stereotypes that much. Forget about what is actually correct representation of a culture. It's like, Google is your friend. Like, oh, it's just exhausting. And again, this is coming from me as a white person, so I don't even know how relevant my thoughts on it are, but it does not feel good, and I do not like watching it.
No, I'm not a big fan of it either, only because, and I don't want to say anything about like the racial connotation behind it. I'm not a fan of that type of gimmick. I feel like there are certain gimmicks in wrestling that should just never be a thing.
Yeah. It's like, it's very it's like, I was having this conversation with Jasmine a while ago, and she so she's Arabic, as we've discussed before, and she'd kind of mentioned like the way that they've done Mustafa Ali recently is a very good example of, that you can turn someone who is not white heel and not have it lean solely on their ethnicity, because what they're doing with Apollo Crews is just a slightly different flavor of Muhammad, of what was the guy that what was his name, Muhammad something or other, that did the whole shit with the Undertaker and got them loads and loads of complaints.
Oh, Muhammad Hassan. That's exactly what I was thinking.
I was Muhammad like, Hassan. I totally drew a blank on his name, and it was just not. It's like, this is just a different flavor of the same gimmick. It's just leaning on all the worst stereotypes about a specific country, and it's just not. And it's, you can see the intent with it for 5 minutes, and then it went in such a weird, uncomfortable shit direction, and it's like,
do you want to know what made the Muhammad Hassan gimmick even worse?
Is the fact that they aired it the same day as 7-7 in the UK.
Yeah, and and post 9/11, but it's the fact that dude wasn't even Middle Eastern.
Yeah, he was Italian. Like,
he was an Italian from fucking New York.
Yeah, it's like, and that's again the whole like shaky relationship with ethnicity. It's like the fact that like, you've got an Italian guy playing a Middle Eastern guy, and then you've got a stable called Full-Blooded Italians. None of them are Italian. Like,
yep.
I just don't know what the deal is. It's like, if you are going to be that committed to not understanding anything about how the world works, maybe just don't. Like,
exactly.
Just don't. Just stop it. You've done enough. Just go to bed. Yeah, that match was dog shit. I don't even want to know where it's going. Not happy about it. Big E deserved better. End of fucking story. I was not optimistic, and it still disappointed me in every conceivable way. Like,
yep, agreed. What was next? That would be that'd be Rhea and Asuka.
Rhea and Asuka, second favorite match of Mania. That was like, it was excellent. And I think the thing is, I've seen a lot of people being very surprised that Asuka dropped the title, but I think the thing is, like, for those of you who maybe aren't aware, so you know how they bigged up this whole thing about how Shayna Baszler kicked her tooth out?
Yeah.
In doing that, she has managed to royally fuck up Asuka's mouth, and she's away to go out for surgery, essentially. So I knew that she was going to win, because it had been kind of vaguely telegraphed, like, by that, because it was like, they kind of temporarily fixed it, but they were like, you're going to need to, like, get an implant, and you can't, like, mess with it for a few months. So, like, I knew she was going to drop the title, and I'm really, really glad they put effort into making it such a good match. Like,
absolutely.
It's just, they had really surprisingly good chemistry, I think. Like, I wasn't like, as much as I knew that they're both excellent and it was going to be a good match, I didn't expect them to work together as well as they did, because it was just
as well as they did,
because they've got such disparately different styles, and like there's the size difference and everything. I didn't know how they were going to gel together, and it just worked amazingly. Like, it was so good. And like that was the best riptide that Rhea has ever hit in her entire career. It was lovely.
Oh, absolutely.
Like,
that was so perfect.
And I think Rhea has, honestly, she's got big fucking things coming, because it's like, I'm looking at the side by side of the two title changes of Bianca's, that moment was obviously lovely, her kind of like crying and whatever. It was gorgeous. It was a really sweet moment. And there's this amazing photo of Rhea holding up the title and just screaming. It's like very different responses to this. Like, Bianca's was really sweet and wholesome. Rhea's was like, yep, I kicked your fucking ass. So fucking what? Fight me, bitch. It was great. Like, exactly. The amount of just, her persona is just so well formed, and like the fact that she kind of almost like, I think she knows how big a deal she is, but without being kind of a mark for herself. And I find that so good. It's like,
right,
just that full recognition of, yes, I fucking deserve this, was so gorgeous. It was such a nice story. And like, I am never gonna not be obsessed with Rhea's ring entrance either. It's just so gorgeous. Like, her choreography and stuff's lovely. I've fully stolen that like squat knit thing for like drag. Every performance absolutely. I've done,
I find myself doing that very often.
It's so good. And like, I just wish I could get my leg that, or my foot that close to my head. Like, her big like kick stomp thing that she does is just the best. Like, I really, really don't think that we have ever seen anything like Rhea in wrestling, and it's just amazing. She's so cool. Like,
I agree.
I'm honestly so happy for her. Like, they just need to not fuck this up and let her get her win back over Charlotte, and everything will be lovely. That's...
Yep. Do you know that the stomp, where she gets the stomp from?
I don't believe I do.
She's a big fan. Well, she, much like most of us, she's a big fan of their older stuff, but she was a big fan of the band Suicide Silence.
Nice.
And their original vocalist, God rest his soul, I miss Mitch Lucker, but the original vocalist used to do that really, really high stomp when he was getting into a song.
That's amazing. Yeah, because I think that's kind of the thing, is that there's an issue that I take with a lot of like, specifically, and this is absolutely not a knock on like any of the kind of women that I'm about to talk about, but specifically a lot of women whose gimmick kind of rests on that kind of like alternative fashion kind of whatever. Like the Riot Squad specifically, it's like, they obviously take their name from like Riot Girl or whatever. There's nothing about their anything that evokes Riot Girl in any way, shape, or form. And it's like, they have this incredible aesthetic, but it's also kind of it's sort of like Forever 21 does punk. It's a little bit inauthentic and kind of doesn't quite work. Whereas with Rhea, right, she's, the way that she styles herself, the fact that she's obviously so into the whole subculture and totally gets it as far as like that kind of like alternative sort of metalhead thing goes, that really, really works for her, and I really like it. And like the kind of battle jacket thing she does and everything, it's just great. I just love Rhea. Like, I just really fucking like Rhea. She's the best, honestly.
I love Rhea, and she has such a bright future ahead of her, and I'm so
really,
excited
really
to see
does. Yeah.
What's next?
Absolutely. And then, is it just the main event we've got left, or?
We've made it. We're at the final match.
We're here. We've done it. Proud of us. So, that did not end the way I thought it was gonna end. I'm gonna, plain and fucking simple, I thought Edge was gonna get his win back, and like, part of me is really sad that he didn't, but also the visual storytelling in that match was really, really good. So like, there's somewhere to go after this in every single way, apart from the fact that Roman is now beating everyone.
Yep.
There's no one that's a realistic. there's no one that's a realistic contender to him that you don't need to put a few months of building them up into it, because like he could do Cesaro or Big E, or there was another one that we'd kind of thrown out, but they aren't going to come straight out of where they are into facing Roman. So like, I don't know what, because they kind of had the same problem around about the Rumble kind of time, where it was like he's beaten everyone and is now feuding with management because we have run out of people to such an extent. Like,
right.
Now here's my other thing. If they weren't gonna have him win, why the fuck was Daniel Bryan in that match?
That's a very fair point. That's a solid point.
Because the thing is, I don't dislike Daniel Bryan, but I hate this version of Daniel Bryan. I've not liked any of his characterization. He just seems like a whiny little shit at this stage. I didn't like that he was in the match. I had rationalized it with myself because I thought he was just there so that Roman didn't have to eat the pin. And that's not how it panned out. And I think that if they were going to have Edge lose, they should have made it a singles match. Like,
yeah, agreed.
And again, I enjoy Daniel Bryan, but the way that he was kind of going into it, I really, really didn't like. It's just, there was something about it that just wasn't totally right, like hitting right with me. And it's like, it's just gone a little bit entitled jackass. And because all of them were kind of veering to the dark side a little bit, it was heel versus almost heel in Edge. And like, it was a bit strange in terms of build up, but the actual match was really, really good, with the exception of Jey Uso. Get him all the way in the fucking bin. I'm tired of the sight of him.
He's main event.
He's main event, but he didn't lose. He lost every match between November and last SmackDown, so
yeah,
you know, take from that what you will.
At first, I wasn't sure how to feel about this whole head of the table thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I need to commend WWE, and I don't know if anyone from WWE is ever going to see this, but I'm going to look directly in the camera. This is how you tell a fucking story.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is the absolute pinnacle of wrestling storytelling. I love it. I need more of it.
I think that's like, there's one thing that I really, really loved about that last match is that it's planted some really good seeds of where Edge is going to go from this. Because that last moment where he had just hit the concerto on Bryan and then had that moment where he just stopped and was clearly like, I could just pin him. Roman's down. I could win this now. And then let wanting to fuck shit up get the better of him, and then went and hit it on Roman, which effectively lost him the match. And like,
right.
I can see Edge going into a full like deranged heel turn out of this, which I think would work for him right now so well, which I really, really do like. I just wish he'd got his title. Like, yeah. Again, it's like it's the same issue I had with the tag title match. It's like there was so much incredible storytelling and then they just veered off completely in the wrong direction right at the last second. And it's like,
right, I agree. But as far as Roman retaining, I had said from the beginning, like the minute this match was made, everybody was like, Edge is going to get his title back. And I'm like, no, for the sake of the story, Roman needs to have the title, because without the championship, him being the head of the table doesn't mean anything.
That's a very good point, actually, because that was the one issue that I took with it, was the fact that if Edge had won, he was not going to have the title for very long, because they would have had to put it back on Roman very fucking quickly. And it's like, because you cannot have that. And to be honest, I'm almost glad that he just didn't win it, as opposed to having it for a month and then dropping it again.
Exactly.
And like, I think that they're gonna like again, I'm having to think about this rationally rather than, so Edge is my favorite male wrestler, or like period. And like thinking about this not as an Edge fan, but just objectively speaking, this is the way, like the way that match was done. As much as I didn't like the finish as a fan of Edge, it does the least damage to the most people, and it's like it did make sense, as little as I want to admit it. Like,
yeah, it just, in order for this gimmick to work, for it to maximum effect, Roman has to be champion as long as possible.
And he's doing the absolute best work of his career at the minute as well. So like he is. And it's a really, that story with Roman is a really, really good example of like the title serving the story as opposed to the story serving the title, which I think is really, really well done. The title,
exactly.
Yeah. It's like, it's so, I'm really, really loving Roman getting booed at WrestleMania, but for the right reason. Yay!
Reason, exactly.
And actually getting a crowd reaction. Like after winning a match, he got some noise from people that weren't just CM Punk chants and people leaving their seats. Like,
though, given how last night went, I don't think I would blame anybody who just got up and left their seat.
Yeah. It was like, I wouldn't blame them, but I personally would have gotten up like halfway through it. Like, so after that fucking Nigerian drum fight, fuck it, can't get worse from here. Let's just go. Like, and again, it's the fact that they had, it was just, I think they must have some kind of cap on the number of good matches they can put on a show, because like, it was just going so rapidly between, okay, really, really, like, looking at the night 2 stuff, it was like, okay, this is shit, good match with a shit component, unfathomably shit, really fucking good. And it's like, it's just that, like, and again, it's just this weird, like, kind of thing that keeps happening of, like, putting on these really good matches that make everyone look really amazing and, like, telling such a clear story and then going, haha, you thought, and then changing their mind at the last minute. It's like...
Exactly.
Like, especially, I'm not going to shop it, especially with the women's tag titles, it's like, they should have called a fucking audible based on that crowd reaction. Like, Nia and Shayna were getting dust. Like, no one cared. No one gave a fuck. And, like, the response that Natty and Tamina were getting was just like, you cannot ignore this. You are not allowed to ignore this.
Yeah,
I only cried for 20 minutes. It's fine.
All right, SpongeBob.
It's fucking Michael Cole. I woke up crying like I did every morning since 2008. Like, but I draw on the little soul patch. I draw on the little soul patch that everyone loves, and I cry for 20 minutes and get in my car and go to the best job in the world. No,
I really hope that they don't ignore that. I really hope that like WWE can capitalize on that reaction that they
absolutely got and maybe make Tamina's t-shirts available in the UK. That's a fucking idea. Please do that. Thank you. I'm still mad.
I'm all for that. So all in all,
they're made to order because no one wants them.
So all in all, my final verdict on a scale of 1 to 10. I'm going to give this WrestleMania a 6.5, a very, very generous 7. I was thinking about a 6.5, but I'm going to lean more toward a very generous 7, just because if night 1 were the only night, that would have been maybe a top 3 Mania of all time.
Very much so. I think that, yeah, I'm with you on a 6.57. I'm leaning towards 6.5 because they screwed my gal once again. They need to stop doing this. They're making me upset. But like that's I think again, if they had changed the ordering of things just a little bit and had the feel good stuff be the closer and the kind of next season setup happen on night 1, that would have been all hunky fucking dory. That would have been fine.
Exactly.
But it's just the weird structuring of it. Like, I maybe could have done without. But it was enjoyable. I do not regret staying up all night 2 nights in a row. But you know, it was what it was. It was a good Mania, and there was an audience, so that's fucking something, because it does mean that WWE are no longer getting away with just producing shite because there's no one to tell them that it's shite. Like,
exactly,
because they've now been able to gauge this is working, this is not working, whatever. And hopefully it means some kind of a change with this Apollo Crews thing, because, like, you know, even if you get booed, it's still better than getting silence, which is exactly what he got. That crowd were dead, and it's like
any heat is good heat.
Yep. So I think it's going to have taught them a few things about what they are doing that is working or not working, and fingers crossed they're going to do the sensible thing in a couple of different places. But it's WWE. I think we should know not to trust them at this point.
Fair enough. But yeah, so that was our WrestleMania wrap up. I thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, you're so welcome. It was fun time. Like, I think I needed somewhere to put all of this energy that I have for it, because I'm like, I can't post on TikTok right now without people being like, "Did you see that Tamina lost?" And I'm like, don't want to talk about it. I'm grieving. Leave me alone. But yeah, no, this was really, really fun. I'm glad that we did this, and it was a good time.
Absolutely.
Like,
and I thank you guys at home for joining us and joining me on another episode of the Blatino Nerd. She is Slay Guevara. You can find her on TikTok and at Instagram at Slay Guevara. You always know where to find me on all the socials. I will catch you guys on the next one, and as always, keep it nerdy.